I'm Ben Allman, the Chair of Orthopedic Surgery at Duke, and I'd like to welcome you to our 2021 State of the Department Grand Rounds. The past 2 years have been difficult for all of us, and I'm really proud of how our departmental members met the challenges of the past couple of years and plotted forward to develop a new beginning for our department and to use each challenge as an opportunity to become better. Based on that great work that we've done over the past couple of years, we're now in a position to move forward to build a very bright future. Our departmental faculty has continued to grow, and we've doubled the number of faculty over the past decade. Over the past year, we signed or started 16 faculty members in our department, and you're going to hear more about them later on in the State of the Department talk. We continue to grow in our research mission. In fact, since 2012, we've increased our NIH funding almost eightfold. And this year, we're on track to have roughly $9 million in NIH funding, according to the NIH Reporter. We also are continuing to increase our number of publications. In 2020, we had 484 publications, according to PubMed, and that's a sevenfold increase from what we had in 2011. We have 12 faculty who currently have NIH funding. But these are just surrogates for our research productivity, because what's really important is doing research that's going to have positive implications on health. And I'm very proud of the kinds of research that we're doing. And this is just an example. These are 3 new grants that we received last year from the NIH. Christine Gertz had a grant to run a pragmatic trial of a new method of treating back pain. Amy McNulty has a grant to work on predictors of cartilage health after a meniscal injury. And Shani Varghese has a grant to look at a new way to decrease pain after fractures. And these are grants that have real practical implications to make positive improvements for our patients. We have a very strong team to lead our research programs. Steve George as our Vice Chair of Research, Matt Hilton as our Associate Chair of Research, Steve Olson heads our Clinical Research Unit, Adam Good is our Vice Chair for Clinical Research and Epidemiology, Chad Cook for Clinical Research Facilitation is helping our clinically based faculty to be able to do more rigorous research projects, Janet Betcher heads Health Policy Implementation, Shani Varghese in bioengineering and is Duke's first MedX faculty member, and Lou DeFreight for biomechanics, movement, and imaging. Our clinical activity continues to grow. Work RVUs are a surrogate measure of how much clinical activity we're doing, and you can see that since 2014, we've increased the number of work RVUs we've done by almost 66%. On any given day, we're in 25 ORs and 13 clinics taking care of patients in the Triangle, North Carolina, the United States, and the world. In the past year, we've opened up a number of new clinical facilities. The Arrington Clinic is one of the largest clinics in the Duke system, and although it's primarily focused on orthopedics, faculty from other departments will also see patients in our clinic, and it's in the same building with a new Duke ASC. On the Duke University Hospital campus, we moved our inpatient beds to the 11th floor of the Duke Central Bed Tower. This is really sort of the penthouse of the Duke University Hospital, and it's fantastic, a facility for our patients and our providers. We have a stellar clinical leadership team. David Atarian stepped down this year as our Executive Vice Chair Clinical. I'd like to thank him for his years of service to our patients, our providers, and to Duke. Allison Toth took over for him in this role, and she has already developed some new initiatives that are going to provide better care for our patients and a better environment for our providers. Melissa Erickson continues in her role overseeing our OR utilization. Erica Taylor continues in her role as the site director for Raleigh Hospital, and Joe Minshew in his role as a site director for Duke Regional Hospital. As we've evolved to more local, divisional decision-making and control, we're lucky to have a great set of division chiefs. And I'd like to welcome Todd Cade to the group, who started just over 1 year ago as our chief of the DPT division. Our department continues to have a strong emphasis on education. Our new building provides state-of-the-art facilities, which unfortunately we couldn't use quite as much as we wanted related to COVID. With the addition of the OTD program, we will now on course to have over 400 learners in our department between the OTD program, the DPT program, our residencies, and our fellowship programs, making us one of the largest educational units at Duke. None of our achievements would be possible without administrative support, and I think we have the best administrative team around. I'd like to thank our administrative group for working so well with each other and with the faculty in teams to allow us to achieve all of our goals. Over the past year, we appointed several new faculty leadership roles. Bill Juranic as the head of our APT committee and the CORD steering committee, Jocelyn Whitstein as our CORD's medical director, Celine Perec as our director of digital strategy and innovation, Dave Roosh as the medical director for Arrington, Mark Richard as our access coordination champion, Joe Minshew as our CPDC section head, and Carl Schweitzer as our CPDC section vice head, Sam Adams as the head of our section of orthopedic surgeon clinician scientists, and Shalini Ramasander, who has just been appointed as the head of the Durham VA. Our department continues to do very well in the rankings. We ranked number 2 in NIH funding last year, according to Blue Ridge Institute. The U.S. News and World Report ranked our DPT program number 7, and that hasn't been ranked for a couple years, so we're expecting a big jump upward the next time they do a formal ranking. Our orthopedic residency program was ranked 6th in the U.S., and Duke University's medical school was ranked number 2 for surgery programs, and that includes orthopedics. In this year's U.S. News and World Report hospital rankings, Duke University Hospital ranked 6th in the United States in orthopedic reputation. And in the state of North Carolina, our 3 hospitals ranked 1st, 2nd, and 4th in the global U.S. News and World Report rankings. This year at the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgery meeting, there was a paper on where orthopedic chairs come from, and Duke University Hospital's residency program ranked 4th in the country on producing orthopedic chairs. Last year, we worked on developing a new beginning, and this was going to focus on teamwork and innovation. This year, we're going to build on that, especially using teamwork to build a brighter future together. In the clinical realm, we're going to continue to focus on population-based care. In collaboration with our primary care providers, we're going to develop more efficient and effective ways that we can treat common problems like back pain and be able to treat as large a patient population as possible. In collaboration with the health system, we're going to work to provide the highest quality orthopedic and surgical care possible for our primary and secondary service area. And by continuing to focus on innovation and by continuing to support rigorous, impactful research, we're going to grow our international recognition and increase the number of patients who come from out of state and from around the world for orthopedic care here at Duke. In our educational mission, we're going to continue to focus on using evidence to provide the best education possible for all of our learners. In our research area, we're going to focus on high-impact, rigorous research that's going to have a positive influence on health outcomes. And to make all this work, we're going to have to focus on teamwork. We have a lot of really smart people in our department and at Duke. If we work together, there's almost nothing that we can't achieve. On the other hand, if we spend a lot of time arguing with each other, it's hard for us to really move forward and achieve this bright future. So I'm hopeful that we will be stronger together, we'll work more as a team, and that's at the university, the health system, and the PDC. That's within our various clinical divisions and with DPT and OTD. That's between our clinicians and our educators and our researchers. And that's between our PDC clinicians and our CPDC clinicians. As a team, we're unbeatable. And if we are able to harness the insight and the knowledge and the enthusiasm of our whole team, we have an incredibly bright future ahead. When people think about Duke, they often think about Duke basketball and about how the best play here in Duke basketball. Well, I'd argue that the best work here, and the best work here in Duke Orthopedics. It's the people who work here, the people in our department, that make Duke great and that make our department great. Our students, residents, and fellows are the future of our field, and I believe that we have the very best who train here at Duke. We have a very bright future ahead of us, and if all of us work together as a team, there's almost nothing that we can't achieve. Over the next 80 minutes, you're going to hear from our departmental leadership about our achievements and our bright future forward. Thank you.
Good morning. I'll be presenting on the safety, quality, faculty development, and culture aspects of our department. As Vice Chair of Orthopedic Surgery, several areas are under my purview. I've used the acronym SUPPORT to describe some of those roles, as you can see on the slide. Patient safety and quality highlights from 2021 include further development of our OP reporting. That's ongoing professional practice evaluation. Every 6 months, every provider in orthopedics has a report generated about some of the Joint Commission required metrics for care. And those that don't meet our department thresholds, we send a letter and some discussion or tips for improvement. ODAC, our department leadership, has set some of the metrics for reward. If, for example, a provider is closing 98% of their encounters in less than 5 business days, they get 1% of their clinical receipts at the end of the year. And we have 3 metrics there, as you can see, this year. Additional patient safety and quality program highlights from 2021 include the development of provider tiles by the PDC as a dashboard for providers to review all of their quality and safety data in one place. We are also working with performance services to identify our patients at risk for complications, as well as 30-day readmissions and return to ED. We are monitoring patients remotely now with the Joints team via the My Care Path app that they helped develop with Pattern Health. Hopefully that will be available to others over time. In terms of integrating and leading with Duke Health-wide efforts, we've worked with peri-op nursing, infectious diseases, and infection control, and continuing to decrease our peri-op infection rate. Discharge to home has improved dramatically with the development of the SCU and Arrington ASC, so we can get our patients home same day or next day. As far as pediatric fracture care, several initiatives are ongoing to improve efficiency of care, safety of care. For faculty development, continue to work on culture with a positive, equitable work environment. Recruitment, retention, professionalism, and promotion of well-being are some of the keys there, and further development of faculty leadership and formal mentorship. The Chief School continues, where we're working on several areas around communication, diversity, harassment, general leadership, including financial stewardship, led by experts within our Duke system and even an executive coach from external. This is an interactive program and longitudinal with metrics and accountability for our division chiefs. We've had 2 of the sessions already, and you can see those 2 listed on the left, and we have some additional ones to get to over the next year, including resilience and working with interpersonal relationships, leading from the middle, conflict management, bystander harassment training. Hopefully we can roll this out to the rest of the faculty once we're finished up with the division chiefs. For the non-division chiefs, continuing to work on these areas of, say, recruitment and retention, learning to use additional sites such as the Robert J. Gladden Orthopedic Society has a job posting site, and that one may help us in our recruitment efforts, looking for more diverse faculty. Also retention, we want to focus harder over the next couple of years on the APT process to make sure that our faculty are moving forward, so helping with mentoring and so forth, and also looking at salary equity. Professionalism will continue to focus hard with the PACT program, but also professionalism will be tied to promotion and promotion of well-being through some Duke resources. Lastly, encouraging faculty leadership. We've got some nice programs at Duke that are highlighted on this slide. And again, I just want to emphasize that there are several other roles for the vice chair, and I remain ready to continue to support our faculty in every way possible. Thanks for your attention.
Good morning. My name is Erica Taylor, and I have the distinct honor of presenting the State of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion in the Department of Orthopedics to you today. This morning, we'll go over some of our foundation activities and looking at the last year. We'll then segue into the evolution and how we are reimagining DEI in the state. And then we'll conclude by a review of going forward our RAD or RAD strategy. Despite the obstacles presented to all of us in 2020 and 2021, we still persisted in our DEI activities as a department. We began the year again with our residency recruitment efforts and again leaned on Dr. Robert Fitch as well as Wendy Thompson and Sharon Long to help implement this strategy. We included again implicit bias training for our selection committee members and highlighted the DEI activities and values to applicants. We also continued with the interview question themes on diversity and leadership. As the year went on, we were very honored to be selected by the Office of Institutional Equity at Duke to highlight one of our initiatives created by Dr. Allison Toth, division chiefs, as a best practice for sharing at their informational breakfast. I had the pleasure of being able to present that initiative on behalf of Dr. Toth. We again were continued sponsors of the SNMA Martin Luther King Jr. banquet, this time in its 28th year. And because it was virtual, it actually allowed for limited participation. The keynote speakers this year, Drs. Rhea Boyd and Ebony Boulware, focused on health disparities. And it was very inspiring to hear and to learn and also to see the orthopedic participation. We also continued with our medical student mentorship program, which was rather informal at the time, but allowed for pairing of internal and external Duke students with ally faculty members. It increased the visibility of not only our faculty, but also our residency program. And then we also participated in the Total Joint Orthopedics Arthroplasty Lab that focused on female medical student and resident learning. I would like to also thank Dr. Bolognese and Dr. Seiler for helping lead these efforts. The featured instructor was my colleague and friend, Dr. Linda Suleiman from Northwestern University Orthopedics. As the year went on, we continued participation, albeit in a virtual format, with the Student National Medical Association and the J. Robert Gladden Orthopedic Society. And what transcended time over the last 8 months was Duke enterprise-wide Moments to Movement effort. And that included not only listening sessions and coffee with colleagues, but educational cohorts and focus groups. In fact, one of our very own faculty members, Dr. Jean Taylor, was an instrumental part of the faculty subgroup that helped to contribute to the strategic plan entitled Dismantling Racism and Advancing Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion in the School of Medicine. In the last few months, we've continued our participation with the GME, this time in the inaugural First Look event, which gave underrepresented medicine applicants an opportunity to check out Duke before submitting their application. The ortho department was very active in its participation. I was fortunate to be selected to be one of the keynote welcome speakers for the event. And then in the breakout session for orthopedic surgery, there was outstanding turnout by our resident selection committee and leaders. There were even breakout sessions for intersectionality groups as well. And then just last week, we participated in an AOS annual academy meeting at full throttle, but looking at specifically at the DEI presence, we had a wonderful presentation by my colleague, Dr. Allison Toth, and together we presented strategies for success and frameworks for DEI. In addition, the Nth Dimensions program participated again this year, bringing 30 medical students to San Diego, and we had Duke representation in their workshops and mentoring reception. Going forward, we will continue our collaboration between the School of Medicine and our department to help fund a scholarship award for a selected visiting sub-internship student. This year's recipient of the Visiting Scholars Award is Thaddeus Woodard, an MS4 from the University of Pennsylvania, who will be spending a month with us soon. When we talk about reimagining DEI, it's important to understand that this is a very dynamic subject matter and one that should always be in a state of evolution. For example, we've spent the past several years examining the what of DE&I. What does it mean to be diverse, inclusive? What is equity versus equality? And over the last year to 18 few months, our institution and department explored our why when reviewing our efforts. Why is health equity important? Why does diversity matter to our patients and learners? Why should inclusion matter to all of us? Moving forward, it is important to thoughtfully consider and evaluate the how. So how do we make sustainable change? How do we support efforts? How do we distribute accountability in our day-to-day operations? And how do we create a culture of respect and belonging? So that brings us to our RAD strategy, recruitment, accountability, development. When we talk about recruitment and retention, we're not only focusing on medical student resident efforts, but also novel ideas such as one created by two of our fourth-year medical students at Duke, Ariana Paniagua, as well as Raphael Baker, and that's the Duke Ortho Minority Mentorship Program. We also have the leadership of Dara Purvis, our CAO, to help spearhead staff climate efforts, focus groups, need assessments, dialogue, faculty recruitment efforts, so looking at the J. Robert Gladden Society job posting, being intentional about having search committee DEI liaison. Then the onboarding strategy is part of the larger clinical enterprise strategic plan, which involves not only how do we recruit and select, but then how do we introduce people who come to our institution into the concepts and resources behind DEI. We look at distributed accountability as the A, accountability. What's also new and coming down is our academic points program modification that will actually have DEI as a separate category. Now, this is based on framework from Indiana University or IU Health with a goal to increase awareness, engagement, and acknowledgement of the scholarly works of DEI. We also see the introduction of leadership metrics through school and PDC-wide initiatives, including metrics for chairs, medical directors, and division chiefs, and expanding leadership in our own department, such as the OTD division with Dr. Tamiko Faison leading minority recruitment and retention, and the Doctor of PT division with the newest member, Dr. Tiffany Adams, who is their DEI leader. And then lastly, looking at development. So from an education standpoint, there are initiatives that our members participated in. Teach Equity Now, for example, a course on improving departmental climate. And then our departmental grand rounds as sources of education. And I'd like to thank Dr. Joe Minshew for helping to coordinate and promote and sponsor these efforts. What's coming up next week is our second inaugural DEI Grand Rounds, which will feature Dr. Scott Porter, a tumor surgeon from MUSC and a profound leader of the American Orthopedic Association. Also in the month of November, we will partner with the Department of Surgery, who will have their third annual Association of Women Surgeons Grand Rounds, and they'll focus on intersectionality. One of the featured speakers is a board-certified foot and ankle surgeon from New York, as well as the founder of Black Women Orthopedic Surgeons, Dr. Heide Brown. We also have pioneered the space in research and will look at opportunities for DEI in that regard under the direction of our Vice Chair for Research, Dr. Stephen George. He has taken the course Reach Equity Health Disparities Research Education, and we also have members of our team, myself and Dr. Seiler included, that are looking at the Zimmer JRGOS grant funded study on mentorship impact for different groups. And under the leadership of Dr. David Roosh, our co-management planning committee will explore patient experience and the impact of demographics on marginalized populations as it pertains to our opportunities to increase access and equity. So what can you do to contribute to our DEI departmental efforts? Well, quite frankly, there's a lot of things you can do that really span the recruitment, accountability, development side. But more specifically, education, engagement, and support. Looking at professional, personal development, active learning efforts. This is a book that I like to reference quite frequently, The Sum of Us, Why Doing This Work Alone is Not an Option by Heather McGee. Engagement, so upstander, bystander intervention, not only providing the intervention, but also being humble to receive it for areas of implicit bias or blind spots that we might not be able to see ourselves. Collaboration, participation in our institutional efforts, and support, namely practicing unconditional allyship. Can't stress that enough. Becoming ambassadors for health equity, and then encouraging the team members who are working in this space to keep going and promoting their efforts across the board. This is our work to do. I'd like to end with this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, who wrote this in his letter from Birmingham jail. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. The work Duke Orthopedics is doing matters, it's critical, and is making a difference. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the State of Department. The Blitz continues with a research summary. My name is Steve George. I'm the Vice Chair of Research. I'm also going to be helped with this update from Matt Hilton and Adam Good. As has already been highlighted by Ben, this has been a strong year for NIH funding and an impressive number of publications. So it really was a banner year for our department in research. We have a robust research program, and it's contributing in many different scientific areas. I did a quick search on research-focused faculty publication titles in 2020. And as you can see from this graphic, we are contributing in a lot of different journals, a lot of different fields. It was pretty interesting for me to see this. Keep in mind, this is primarily the research, or this is the research-focused faculty's publications. I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague, Matt Hilton, to highlight the basic translational aspects. And also after that, Adam will talk about some of the clinical and epidemiology. Matt, take it away.
Thanks, Steve. I'm Matthew Hilton, and today I'll be providing an update for the Basic and Translational Sciences Research Group, which is composed of faculty with either primary or secondary appointments in the Department of Orthopedic Surgery. First, an update on who we are. The Basic and Translational Sciences in our department consist of clinician scientists working in the laboratory with human tissues and cells, as well as animal models to study orthopedic cancers, bone infection, bone regeneration, and osteoarthritis. We are also a group of neuromuscular, musculoskeletal, and cardiopulmonary rehabilitation scientists studying metabolic diseases, immune regulation, as well as spinal cord and CNS injury and regeneration. We are bioengineers and biomechanists studying musculoskeletal diseases utilizing advanced imaging and analysis techniques, as well as developing tissue regeneration strategies using cellular genetic and material science approaches. Finally, we are cell, developmental, and genome biologists that study the mechanisms underlying numerous aspects of musculoskeletal development, disease, and regeneration. Our basic and translational research group has been very productive over the years and can currently account for 19 NIH musculoskeletal research grants, 13 of which have been awarded to our primary appointed faculty, and 9 of these are either new or renewal grants awarded over the past year during the COVID-19 pandemic. We also have 2 new NIH postdoctoral and predoctoral trainee grants, 2 new industry-supported grants, among other foundation and institutional awards. We have maintained our productivity in publishing more than 150 manuscripts, many of which in some of the highest impact scientific journals. All of this work in the basic and translational sciences has significantly contributed to our high quality of science and our recognition as the #2 orthopedic department in NIH funding. Another major accomplishment over the past year came in the way of a new open rank recruitment of a musculoskeletal basic and translational researcher. During this process, we reviewed more than 60 highly qualified national and international applications and interviewed 7 diverse candidates. Each interview consisted of science lectures, chalk talks that outlined the candidates' future research programs, and one-on-one interviews with numerous faculty within our department and across the university. For all of their hard work, I sincerely thank our faculty. After this 8-month interview and recruiting process, I'm happy to say that Joe Chicalico will be joining our faculty as an associate professor in orthopedic surgery and cell biology. His laboratory will focus on skeletal muscle regeneration and disease research, and he brings with him a history of NIH and DoD funding and a track record of excellent publication. Joe will be joining our faculty in January of 2022, and we welcome him and the beginnings of another great year in the basic and translational sciences.
This is Adam Good. I'll be presenting the clinical research and epidemiology update. Over the past year, we've seen an impressive increase in NIH funding with 3 new NIH clinical research awards. Some of these have been highlighted previously. They come from 3 different NIH sponsors, NIAMS, NIA, and NCCIH, and they represent a range of focus of our department investigators. Our first one listed here combines basic science, translational, and clinical research expertise from our department to understand the mechanisms of disease related to cartilage health. The second one takes an epidemiological approach to understanding prognosis of lumbar spine stenosis. We also recently had our department's second large multi-site pragmatic clinical trial that focuses on improving non-pharmacological care for low back pain. The variation and focus of these new awards speaks to the range of clinical research investigator skills that contribute to a team science approach. These new awards also contribute to an already robust clinical research portfolio consisting of 8 ongoing NIH-funded projects. Collectively, this work contributes to our department's overall national ranking as the #2 department in orthopedics in the country. In addition, we have several clinical research PIs with NIH awards ranking them highly in investigator funding nationally. In addition to expanding our clinical research through NIH funding, we've had a great year in building our trainees that contribute to the future of clinical research. Our collaborations with the Durham VA have brought us 3 VA Quality Scholars, a multidisciplinary fellowship program that focuses on quality improvement, implementation science, and health services research. Jason Sharp and Colleen Both PTs, in addition to completing standardized curriculum and clinical work in the VA, assist with the Duke Doctor of Physical Therapy program. And Kathleen Seidler, who also completes standardized curriculum and clinical work, is completing the Duke Masters in Clinical Informatics program. After recently completing his PhD in epidemiology, Kenneth Taylor has joined our department and is completing the Duke Clinical Research Institute Fellowship program. His research interests and clinical interests are in understanding the relationship between sleep quality and musculoskeletal pain. We're also very excited about our Duke Population Health PhD program and Duke Doctor of Physical Therapy collaboration. We have had two physical therapists that have recently started the PhD program, Lindsay Ballingy and Catherine Norman. In addition to completing full-time PhD coursework in the Pop Health program, they teach and assist in the Duke Doctor of Physical Therapy program. Overall, it's been a great year for our department's clinical research and epidemiology portfolio. Although it's difficult to quantify, our current NIH-sponsored clinical research likely makes Duke Orthopedics one of the top clinical research programs for orthopedic departments in the country. We also look forward to the great contributions of our clinical research trainees that they will make in the future.
This is Jocelyn Wittstein providing a brief update on CORDS 2021. Since January, we have established consensus on region-specific PROs, CPT codes to collect PRO data on, and data collection windows. Each divisional consensus has been used to develop Procedure Pass, which is a CPT code-triggered distribution of pre- and post-op PRO surveys. Procedure Pass is currently activated in adult reconstruction and now built out and soon to be activated for hand, foot and ankle, spine, and sports. Through work with the PRO Governance Committee, we are adding remaining PRO builds requested by our divisions. We continue to optimize data access strategies by working with ACE to access encounter and series-based PROs more easily from the PRO universe. We are also exploring updates to the PRO synopsis to include treatment events to make this a more useful point-of-care tool. Future goals are to establish PRO data files that can be populated from the PRO universe and refreshed for easier data access, to improve utility of the synopsis tool, and to continue to expand Procedure Pass. Thank you to everyone for your patience, input, and enthusiasm during this transitional year.
Hello, my name is Dara Purvis, and I serve as the Chief Administrative Officer for Duke Orthopedic Surgery. Thank you for joining us today. We have an amazing administrative team and staff. The dedication and persistence of this team during the past year of COVID and a rapidly changing environment has been nothing short of amazing. We have accomplished many new things this year while continuing to remain on target for our regular tasks. To begin, our people are key to all we do every day. We continue to focus on the expertise of our team. While we welcomed new faculty members, we also welcomed new staff members. Joining us this year was Cindy Sparrow, our Special Assistant to the Clinical Programs. She serves as our Credentialing and APT admin lead. Leah Rashatar, our new admin manager for our Total Joint, Foot and Ankle, and TOPS division. And Kim Egler, our new assistant for Dr. Ullman and me. Paula Slack is our new revenue manager. And Pamela Barth will be joining us as our new Director of Data and Business Analytics for our CORDS. This year, we also achieved a milestone in that all employee performance evaluations were completed electronically. During this year, we recognized that many important steps for diversity and inclusion were being taken across the institution for our faculty and learners. However, a gap existed in this area for our staff. We determined to address this and knew a single moment would not be enough. We began listening sessions for our teams with the goal of determining what active steps we must take to improve. We learned that skills training is in high demand and is much needed. During the next several months, we will host Learn and Grow sessions that will focus on career development and training, opportunities for recruitment and advancement. Our research teams have been very busy this year. We've implemented a study feasibility process, welcomed new leadership in our RAISER team, and continued to support our new grants and contracts, as well as could process our existing awards. Our CRU had the highest returns since tracking in FY11. We began quarterly finance meetings to proactively evaluate and review study statistics within each of our divisions. Our finance and administrative teams have remained laser focused on new divisional accounting, for detailed budget analysis, implementation of Concur, providing more details for the year-end reconciliation, and establishing new processes for our fellowship finances. Finally, our clinical teams have continued to expand our excellent services and open new locations. We began operations in the Arrington ASC earlier this year, and in June, opened our new Arrington outpatient clinic. The space is absolutely stunning. In addition, the Duke North and Duke Raleigh towers both opened as well. We continue forward in this year planning space for our green level location that will open in 2022. We remain dedicated to the collection of our PROs and increase collection rates from 28% to 74%. Our OT and PT teams also thrive. The Irwin Square renovation project was completed on time and under budget and is truly an amazing training space for our faculty and our learners. We welcomed 41 new OTD students 1 year earlier than planned. This allowed us to move forward and hire new faculty and staff to support the program. Our PT division also welcomed a new DEI director, Tiffany Adams. Our next steps will continue our excellent work from our team. We'll focus on divisional reports and accounting, expand our clinical services, streamline our practices, improve reporting, and focus on diversity and inclusion for our staff. In closing, I just want to say thank you to Dr. Allman, the division chiefs, department leadership, and faculty. We are proud to serve this team. And thank you to our core administrative team and all of our staff. It truly has been an exceptional and challenging year, but we continue to move forward and improve each and every day. This is a testament to the hard work and dedication of the ortho team. Thank you.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to be able to give the first CPDC section report for the state of the department presentation. The department has a long-standing tradition of having members in the greater community, dating back to Dr. Aiken in Roxborough and Dr. Atarian and Stanley at the then Duke Regional Hospital. Beginning in the early 2000s, there has been a significant and steady growth of the number of community providers to our current state of 17 physicians and 15 APPs. In keeping with the shift to a division-focused structure in the department, a formal community or CPD section was created in the fall of 2020. Dr. Allman asked me to serve as section chief and Dr. Schweitzer as associate chief. These are our section members. As this is the first time I have had the opportunity to report on the activity of the section, I wanted to focus on three main areas of contribution to the departmental mission. Clearly, the primary focus of the CPDC members is expanding the reach of the department into the broader community for patient care. Even with the challenges of COVID, the number of patient visits only took a 10% dip, and surgical procedures only a 5% dip in 2020. And we have already exceeded 2019 volumes year to date in 2021. However, in addition to meeting our clinical productivity mission, the section is also contributing to the departmental mission in academics, research, leadership, and innovation, as you can see on the next slide. Section members are active with publications, speaking, research, including grants, and teaching. Section members hold numerous leadership positions in the health system, department, and hospital entities. A couple of things that I would specifically like to point out are Dr. Taylor being named Associate CMO of the PDC for Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Kelly and Dr. Perek's innovative efforts in adult reconstruction and foot and ankle, and the great partnership between the providers and the teams at Duke Raleigh and DRH to be able to provide same-day discharge for total joint procedures to help with capacity and staffing issues at the hospitals. This began in earnest in October in 2020 at DRH, and you can see the success we achieved over the subsequent months due to the dedication of our nursing team. Clearly, it has taken the efforts of a large number of individuals to achieve all of these goals, and I wanted to acknowledge the help of the entire team. Thank you.
I am happy to report that the state of the Duke Orthopedic Residency is in good standing and continues the integrity expected of the Duke program. Throughout the 2021 Chief Resident graduation event, we were able to celebrate the incredible success of this class and send them off in style. As we just said goodbye to a memorable Chief class now settled in fellowships in adult reconstruction, hand, sports, and military service, we are blessed with an equally talented group following them. There has been a seamless transition of leadership, and I want to recognize Ed Baldwin for his outstanding job as admin chief that just concluded. Our PGY 2 through 4 residents are all gaining momentum and on the expected trajectory. With knowledge and experience comes increasing responsibility that they have embraced. They have gained the respect of the faculty and of each other. The requisite teaching and research are occurring with vigor. They have provided seamless grand rounds presentations on pertinent and timely topics. Our exceptional PGY1 class have gotten off to a great start. We were able to recruit these outstanding men and women who all have the traits necessary to become a successful Duke resident. In addition to teaching us with high-quality presentations at grand rounds, the chief resident led Thursday Trauma Conference as a weekly educational highlight. Thursday evening lectures and access to the Human Fresh Tissue Lab have resumed, and significant enhancements to the lab are coming thanks to initiatives from Sam Adams, Bruce Browner, and Ned Amendola. The ABOS Knowledge, Skills, and Behavior program is rolling out, and Duke is participating in the pilot program designed to provide feedback in these domains in real time from the faculty to the resident, and skills assessments are provided. We encourage all core faculty to participate. Resident research is highlighted on this and the next slide. It is apparent that there has been acceleration of scholarly activity in the past 2 academic years. In the 6-year span from 2013 to 2018, there were 519 podium or poster presentations and just under 300 publications. Here is the effort for the last 2.5 years. Over 376 presentations and more than 250 publications. 8 residents just gave outstanding podium presentations at the Piedmont meeting in Sea Island, among the best of the week, and I believe that they had fun presenting those to the membership. Our residents continue to be recognized for their work, thereby receiving awards, scholarships, and appointments. I go back to this picture because it demonstrates one of the many components that makes this a special program. The relationships that are formed and then persist beyond residency, faculty and mentor, current residents, recent graduates, and alumni that continue to be engaged with the program. Here are some of the important components for the program director to recognize. Allow the residents to have a life outside the confines of the hospital, and be respectful of their time. Engage faculty dedicated to teaching and who have that touch to make learning fun. Recognize the importance of the Education Committee, the Associate Program Directors, and the Department Chairman to the success of the program. In other words, we couldn't do what we do without you. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning. This is Todd Cade, the Division Chief and Program Director of the Doctor of Physical Therapy Division, and this morning I will share the DPT Division update for the State of the Department address. I would like to highlight some of the DPT Division's key accomplishments over the past year, and will do so for each of our 4 pillars under our most recent strategic plan, including education, research, diversity and inclusion, and leadership. First, on the education front, we graduated 84 students in an in-person outdoor ceremony on the Baker House lawn in May. We also recently welcomed a diverse incoming class of 95 students. We continue to attract a great number of excellent applicants, highlighted by our high number of current applicants already for the class of 2025. Also, after pivoting to a significant amount of virtual learning last year due to COVID, we are now in person for lectures and lab experiences. Also on the education front, we completed the 2nd year of delivering our innovative new curriculum in our new IPE space. In addition, we have just launched this fall a new certificate in the management of clinical informatics opportunity for interested DPT students during their 2nd year of study. This is a collaboration with the Masters in Management of Clinical Informatics program here in the School of Medicine. This program teaches students how to design better and more efficient patient care using computer science, clinical data, and information technology, an area in sore need in rehabilitation. Interested students will have the opportunity to complete their master's degree after the completion of the DPT program if they are interested. Lastly, the Irwin Square classroom space and research space renovations are now complete. This space, now called Core at Irwin Square, which stands for Collaboration, Outreach, Research, and Education, will be shared with OTD and will have dual education and research purposes. Under research, we had a very successful year. There were 90 peer-reviewed publications by faculty, almost $2 million in direct costs by NIH PI funding, and there are over 52 federal, private foundation, or internal funded research grants that DPT faculty were either PI or co-I on. In addition to orthopedic research, many of our faculty are involved in rare disease, neurological, critical illness, aging, vestibular, infectious disease, and metabolic research. Lastly, we have partnered with the Department of Population Sciences to support 2 physical therapists who enter the PhD program in population sciences and will be mentored by DPT faculty. On the diversity and inclusion front, we are very excited to announce that we have hired Dr. Tiffany Adams as our inaugural Division Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Dr. Adams comes from Winston-Salem State, where she served on several state and national DEI committees and has an active research line in the area of DEI and health professions. In addition, the DPT Racial Inequity Task Force completed their recommendations, and in conjunction with Dr. Adams, we will work to implement the recommendations into our program. We also continue our summer discovery program where we expose underrepresented students to the profession of physical therapy and to Duke DPT. This year, we again successfully held the program virtually, and as you can see from the map, from all around the country. This program is a big success as we admitted 10 students into this year's incoming DPT class who participated in SDP last year. And lastly, under leadership, our own Carol Figures, Director of Student Affairs, will retire this December and will be greatly missed. Jeff Hoder will assume the Director of Student Affairs role in December. Maggie Horn was named the inaugural Director of Data Analytics and Informatics, which is a role to oversee the collection and integration of data for division programmatic decision-making. Also, several faculty received national and local awards, including Rick Clendaniel, Kyle Covington, Derek Cluley, and others. Lastly, our division houses the Vice Speaker of the House of the APTA, and our faculty continue to serve on many national organizations. In summary, as you can see, the DPT division had a great year despite COVID-19, and I would like to thank the outstanding faculty, staff, and students that made a very unusual year a successful one. We look forward to even a better year in 2022.
Hi, everyone. My name is Barb Hooper. I'm the Division Chief and Program Director of the Duke Occupational Therapy Doctorate Program. It's my pleasure to bring you this update from 2021. And last year when I shared the 2020 update, I used a by the numbers format. I'd like to use the same format this year to help you compare where we were this time last year with where we are now. First of all, an update on accreditation. This time last year, we had successfully completed the first step of accreditation. And this year, we have now successfully completed step 2 of the accreditation process, which is we were granted candidacy status in April of this year by our accreditation body. This time last year, I shared with you our 7 inaugural faculty and staff, fabulous inaugural group. And this next slide is one of my favorites. This year, 15 OTD faculty and staff. This is such an amazing group of faculty and staff. I'm so honored to be part of their team. And I wouldn't be able to bring you this update if it weren't for the incredible contributions of each person on this screen this year. In 2020, I shared with you our emerging scholarship record. And this next slide attests to the impact of the faculty team now assembled at Duke OTD. Collectively, this team published 2 books, 4 book chapters, gave 9 keynote addresses, published 37 peer-reviewed articles, and gave or have had accepted 45 juried presentations. This time last year, I didn't have anything to report on the student front, except that we were going through our admissions process, which, as I shared then, included 7 distinctive admissions actions that we were taking to diversify as much as possible our first cohort. And this year, I am very happy to present our inaugural history-making cohort of 40 students. They are energetic, they are excited and exciting, and we are all learning from each other and from all the walks of life that they represent. I shared with you last year also that we were building in 7 distinctive learning collaborations in the curriculum with the I Center, the Business School, the Engineering School, Divinity, Biological Anthropology, and the Interprofessional Center, and also Durham Community Partners. And that's the one I'd like to highlight this year, because since last year, we now have 20 committed community partners who are working with our students on research and hopefully also on the capstone experience. I'd like to thank Dr. Camby Mickish and Dr. Emily D'Agostino for their amazing work on securing these partnerships in a community engaged research model. So our students will be working directly with community sites and community partners on research projects and data that they need to better provide their services. So this time last year, I reported that we had 124 fieldwork placements. This year, I'm happy to report that we have 200 fieldwork placements, thanks again to the amazing work of Dr. Sheila Moyle, our academic fieldwork coordinator. It's a lot of progress, I think, for a year. And I just want to end by with the number one, which is one compelling vision that drives all the activities, the highlights that I've shared with you today. And that vision is an inclusive world where all people flourish through access to and participation in meaningful health supporting occupations, or also known as the activities of everyday life. Thank you so much for your attention. And I'm happy to answer any questions, clarify any of the things I've shared tonight. So please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
You can see here from the same book of business from 2020 that we have rebounded quite nicely from the pre-pandemic numbers. We have now rebounded in terms of our charges, receipts, total billed visits, and surgical cases, as well as work RVUs are now up about 11% over the same time period from 2020. From the standpoint of grants and awards, we have about $275,000 this year in industry funding. We also have 3 Piedmont grants and 2 DoD submissions are pending. We have had a number of our faculty members placed in positions of responsibility in terms of regional and national societies as both presidents and board positions, including treasurer and the president of the International Tissue Transplantation Society. In addition, Dr. Taylor serves in the School of Medicine, PDC, and the Department of Orthopedic Surgery in a variety of fashions for the positions of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we have a number of our faculty who serve on these committees with her. In addition to these very august positions, Dr. Taylor serves as the Chief of Surgery at Duke Raleigh Hospital, and we have had a number of other awards and positions of responsibility with members of the division. From an academic perspective, we have been fortunate enough to publish approximately 38 peer-reviewed publications to date, 7 book chapters, and a special acknowledgement to the co-editors of a textbook on upper extremity trauma. Doctors Gage and Richard have worked with Grant Garagos to edit a textbook which has just been published. We still are looking for several faculty members. We still have yet to hire a pediatric orthopedic surgeon. We're planning on doing this in conjunction with plastic and reconstructive microsurgery. In addition, we have been able to hire a peripheral nerve basic scientist who is completing his fellowship at Mayo Clinic and has already signed his contract with us. We are looking actively to recruit for the VA and look to recruit in the future for the Duke Orthopedics of Raleigh group. Initiatives this year, well, we have completed our distal radius database conversion to REDCap. There are 1,600 patients enrolled, and we are working on completing all the data points so that this is a more searchable database for our residents and fellows, and are starting on scaphoid and distal humerus. Another initiative, primarily through the efforts of Dr. Clifto, has been the establishment of the Richard Goldner Research Fellowship, which is given to 1 to 2 medical students per year. This is an approved mentorship program by the School of Medicine, and we have selected our 2021 fellows and they will start following completion of step 1 of their boards this month. So with that, I'd like to give a special thanks to the very collegial faculty, residents, and fellows from both orthopedic surgery as well as plastic and reconstructive surgery. Without this collegiality, none of this would be possible. In addition, we get phenomenal administrative support from Jenna Fonseca and Kay Palo. And we have a phenomenal relationship with our occupational therapists who provide fabulous treatment for our patients. So special thanks to all of these people.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be able to provide an update of the TOPS division for this year's State of the State Grand Rounds. As you know, TOPS is an acronym for Trauma, Oncology, Pediatric, and Hip Preservation. And so we've been trying to be very inclusive of all of our faculty. In fact, we have 3 new faculty in our division: Dr. Malcolm DeBon in Trauma, Dr. Anthony Catanzano in Pediatrics, and Sean Ryan, although he's actually joining arthroplasty, has expressed an interest to be a dedicated part of our hip preservation group. TOPS has a total of 19 faculty, 15 primary, 3 that we, if you will, share with other divisions, and we have 1 emeritus with Dr. Browner. We have 4 academic sections, and we have three of our PSAs, our physician service agreements, are in TOPS. We're appreciative of the support we get from our musculoskeletal CSU and DUHS and so forth. We also have department leadership in important roles in our group. There are 4 core resident rotations in trauma, oncology, pediatrics, and the regional rotation that fall underneath our division. 4 core topics in resident education, including trauma, oncology, pediatrics, and hip preservation, are within our group. And we sponsor 3 of our fellowship programs, and the first one to be combined with UNC in pediatrics. Dr. Gage, of course, was this year's Frank Bassett Award winner as well. In research in our division, we have 4 funded grants where clinical PIs, clinical faculty are PIs. We have multiple other awards, and we have a number of faculty who collaborate with our basic science researchers, as seen here. And looking at a review on PubMed from September 2020 to today, we have about 100 peer-reviewed publications from our faculty. We have leadership roles in national organizations throughout the division, and IND holders, Dr. Eward, myself. Dr. Gage has developed an implant system for periarticular elbow fractures, and both Dr. Lewis and Dr. DeBon have contributed to some interesting applications that are patient-facing and research-facing. Dr. Gage has a prospective cohort trial in looking at non-unions in bone defects with allograft versus autograft. He's actually worked on and has nearly developed and is currently in the validation phase for a patient-reported outcome tool specific to limb-threatening lower extremity injuries, and recently published a text, Skeletal Trauma in the Upper Extremity, as seen here, with several of our colleagues in hand and other divisions. Malcolm DeBon, our new trauma faculty, is bringing with him Insight, which is a medical application that uses an iPhone app to do topographical scanning to evaluate underlying bony deformity. Dr. Riley is taking on an important role in the trauma clinic medical director as we're trying to collaborate with hospital-based clinics as we move toward our DFP, and working with a regional rotation to enhance experience. And of course, Dr. Browner is the editor of Skeletal Trauma, as we know. In oncology, we have a number of things going on. We're developing a sarcoma center, and Dr. Brigman's involved in that leadership. We've identified in the past that there's cases at risk for wound healing with irradiation, and 2 studies focused on that. Continuing from last year, Dr. Eward was able to have a trial funded this year to translate the use of Immunolight, which he has an IND for, into clinical use, which is exciting. And we have ongoing collaboration with other research centers. In our PEDS section, we have an expansion of clinical faculty to 6 providers with Dr. Catanzano, who is the award-winning fellow this year in his PEDS fellowship. We're participating in a children's scoliosis group study that's a national study, and we have the first and only pediatric physiatrist in our department, and Christopher has done a great job getting funding with this protocol looking at upper extremity functionality for kids with disabilities, which is exciting. For hip preservation, we have clinical services at all 3 Duke hospital campuses now, and Dr. Lewis is now the section chief for hip preservation. All of our hip arthroscopy providers have standardized care. We all use postless hip arthroscopy and computer-assisted guidance for femoroplasty, for femoral acetabular impingement surgery. We have active participation in our CORDS project, as well as Brian Lewis has developed some focused data elements with DHTS we're piloting. We have a dedicated hip preservation fellowship with open and arthroscopic care, which is a little bit unique in the country. We have ongoing work with Dr. DeFreight's lab to understand hip pathology. Dr. Lewis is developing a pattern health app, which is going to track medication and opioid use as well as rehab goals. And as we conclude, I'd like to say a big thank you to Dara, to Leah, and all those in the department who helped us do our job. Thanks so much.
Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege to present this brief update on behalf of the sports division. We've had a tremendous year this past year in sports medicine for a number of reasons, and I wanted to thank all the faculty, residents, fellows, APPs, and all the staff and everywhere we work and all aspects of our division. It would have been nice to speak about everyone individually and all their accomplishments, but it's impossible given this time constraint. Based on our clinical productivity, you can see that we've overcome the effects of COVID and have reached and exceeded our levels that we were working at previously in the operating room and clinics. All the successes that we've had is due to the great team that we have in sports medicine. Here's the orthopedic faculty, the primary care faculty, and our very collaborative research team, both doing clinical research and basic and translational collaborative research with these labs. It's impossible to go through all the work that's been accomplished, but I did want to congratulate Amy McNulty, Lou DeFreight, Adam Good for receiving this NIH R01 grant on the study of cartilage health following meniscus injury, and all the co-investigators and collaborators that are involved from our division and other departments. Congratulations. We have a number of new faculty in the Division of Sports Medicine. This is Shalini Ramasunder. She's going to be the chief of the VA and also is going to have an appointment in sports medicine. You see that she's trained in both sports medicine and orthopedic oncology, and we look forward to working together in the future. You're all familiar with Kendall Bradley, just completed her fellowship training at UCSF and is now part of our faculty, but she will be doing a few more months of subspecialty training in pediatric sports medicine, and we're looking forward to working together in the future. Harry Stafford has been on faculty since the spring. He has already made an impact working at the Urbanic Sports Science Institute as the Director of Human Performance. This is just a brief summary of some of the stuff that Harry's been working on with his team. We're looking at improving and taking care of athletes at all levels, all ages, by looking at their nutrition, their performance, and giving a number of clinics for coaches, athletes, and providing all this educational information. Jonathan Dickens will be joining the faculty in January of this coming year. He's currently the Chief of Sports Medicine at Walter Reed and also the Vice Chair of Research. We're very excited that John's decided to join the Duke faculty. He has a ton of experience, and in view of what's been happening in Afghanistan, you can see that John has been involved with orthopedic care in Afghanistan as the Chief of Orthopedic Surgery and the Orthopedic Consultant Special Operations Task Force in Afghanistan since 2015. He has worked at the Hamid Karzai International Airport Hospital. You can see here the whole team, the capabilities of the hospital, and they've been very much involved with the current situation and the evacuation of Afghanistan. The short video that he sent, I'm sure that he'll share his experience with us when he gets here to Duke on what's been going on there. He has been quite involved with the recent events in helping the rescue and evacuation through Walter Reed and other hospitals in the United States. Thanks for everything you do, John, and we look forward to working together once you get here to Duke. There's a couple of individuals I wanted to recognize. Blake Bogus, who's just completed 20 years at Duke. He's obviously had a very busy clinical practice, teaching and doing research, but in addition to that, he's nationally recognized and is the president-elect for the American Osteopathic Academy for Sports Medicine. He has volunteered for a number of activities at every level, including internationally, as you see here, and he's currently organizing a medical mission trip to Ghana this fall that's titled Ghana Make a Difference, which you can look up, and it's going to have a huge impact on the children in that area of the world. Dean Taylor was elected the Vice President of the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine this year, and he has chosen Allison Toth and John Dickens to be co-chairs for his 52nd annual meeting of the Society. In addition, Dean was the team physician for the Duke baseball team this past spring when they won the ACC championship for the first time in 60 years. So congratulations, Dean, on these accomplishments. The Urbanic Sports Science Institute continues to expand and provide services throughout the community and I wanted to highlight the FIFA Soccer Medical Center of Excellence. This was originally started in 2010 by Bill Garrett, and it's one of 3 centers in the country. And now it's run by Brian Lau and Ryan Kimball and the rest of the team. And they've really expanded the services provided by the center. They're offering services to retired soccer players. They've been designated the medical providers for the Women's Premier Soccer League combines. They're in the development of soccer performance testing to be used more widely. And you saw their TV spotlight last week. So nice work, Ryan and Brian and the rest of the team. And you can see the FIFA Center has really become the soccer provider for all these soccer clubs in the area in Wake County. In summary, this is just a brief synopsis of some of the things going on in sports medicine. It's hard to speak about everyone and all their accomplishments, but I do want to thank everyone for everything they've contributed to the success of our division. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Obviously very excited to present the state of adult reconstruction to the department. I'm going to try to be respectful of everyone's time. I do want to hit some highlights. I want to recognize all of the division members. I should move myself out of the way here so you're not covering up Duranic. But anyway, got a great team. I think it's really neat that we're represented at all the different sites in the health system. And I think that's what makes it particularly fun for me, is to have good colleagues in all these locations. We do have a new member, Sean Ryan, who's come back after a year at the Mayo Clinic. We'll be doing complex hip and knee arthroplasty. And we're excited about what he brings. We've also decided to name him the head of our clinical research efforts, and he's got a particular skill set that will do very well there, as we know. So welcome, Sean. We talk a lot about our transparency and efforts to work with the hospital system. We've got engaged members, as I mentioned. I did just want to touch on these things that follow the bundle experience, the infected arthroplasty center of excellence, robotic platforms, and transition to outpatient. Great team, a lot of folks around us. This list is not completely inclusive enough, I'm sure, but we work with a lot of people on the hospital front, research, clinical front, really just care delivery, and it's wonderful to have these folks helping us. We've always been very transparent about trying to recognize our costs and try to be ahead of the curve about opportunity for cost savings. We have participated in 2 bundle projects that are directly negotiated with private payers, Humana and UHC, and obviously we have interest in doing more in that space. Bill Duranic and Torsten have done a lot of work around the Center of Excellence for Periprosthetic Infection, and I really just wanted to highlight that this work has really turned into some excellent academic work, and this is just a snapshot of some of the things that they've gotten out of a clinical pathway, but they've actually turned that sort of clinical effort into academic quote unquote productivity. So just want to recognize that particularly and focus on the academic accomplishments of that unit. We have started some robotic platforms. Actually, Sam Wellman had the first platform in place at the VA with the specific system from Stryker. And we now have systems at Duke University Hospital as well as Duke Regional. I think it's an excellent educational draw for fellows and residents, and of course, an opportunity for critical research as well. So we're very excited about those being there. We're also super excited about our transition to the outpatient setting. This was a coordinated effort with lots of stakeholders. We've now set up, with the help of a lot of folks, including our PA team, preoperative DME, physical therapy, education class, and prescriptions even before the procedure occurs. I think most members have done a case or will be doing a case soon. And we plan to transition to this space as much as we can, because we really need to be competitive with the groups around us. And this is just a quick snapshot of the first case I did there. Total knee, and actually therapy takes him right down to his car after clearing him on the second unit from a safety and appropriate for discharge standpoint. A couple of miscellaneous things. We're going up to 4 fellowship spots. We still have a lot of involvement in committees at the national level, including some presidential line positions still in place. Our newest society member is going to be Sam Wellman for Hip Society, officially recognized at the Academy meeting. And we will host the Install Knee Fellows again. And with all of this, I think our academic productivity remains high while we're delivering excellent care. Thanks so much for your attention this morning, and look forward to the rest of the presentations.
Mark Easley here, presenting the Foot and Ankle Division report for 2021. I've included a photo from the first day at Arrington. The foot and ankle team has loved being at this facility. Hats off to the orthopedic leadership for making sure that we have a strong presence at this facility. Here is some foot and ankle division data. As you can see, our charges and receipts have remained relatively stable despite COVID and despite Jim Nunley easing into retirement and Sam Adams transitioning to the section of orthopedic surgeon clinician scientists. Our RVUs have also remained steady, as shown here with our total billed visits and surgical volume. Duke remains one of the premier foot and ankle fellowship programs in the country. We've recently grown from 3 fellows to 4 fellows a year. And year after year, we have top-notch orthopedic fellows, and this year is no exception. Despite the growth in our fellowship program, one of our distinct pleasures is having our outstanding residents rotate onto our service. Here's Neil, who's proven himself on this current foot and ankle rotation to be a valuable asset to our patient care and our mission. Plus, he's just a great guy. I'm also highlighting Carl Schweitzer's rotation at Duke Raleigh. Carl has become an integral part of our educational program, not only for the fellows, but for the residents. And they have individual mentorship programs with Carl throughout the year. Carl's also continued to contribute to our publications. Academics remain strong in the Duke Foot and Ankle Division. We have over 35 peer-reviewed publications to date, over 15 book chapters, and we've all contributed to a textbook published this year. Here's just a small sampling of the papers published in Foot and Ankle International, and I'd like to highlight the important resident contribution to our research efforts. We are 2 weeks away from the AOFAS annual meeting, and as in years past, our Duke Foot and Ankle team will be featured prominently in this year's meeting. Here's just one example of one of our presentations. Amanda will speak to our experience in total ankle replacement in combination with total talus replacement. The Duke team remains an international leader in total ankle replacement and in 3D printing for foot and ankle surgery. Our research efforts remain strong. Here's a list of our current ongoing studies at Duke. Our success in research would not be possible without our terrific clinical research coordinators. Carrie, Amanda, and Kaylin continue to do a wonderful job in managing all of our studies, including these studies here that have grant funding. I'd like to recognize Sam for his recent grant activity from the AOFAS and from the Ortho Regeneration Network Foundation. The Duke Foot and Ankle team maintains a strong presence and leadership nationally and internationally. 2 of the 4 North American Federation Council members of the International Federation of Foot and Ankle Surgeons are Duke faculty. Sam Adams was recently elected to the board of directors for the Ortho Regeneration Network Foundation. We also have the chair for the AAOS Total Ankle Registry Initiative, and Celine Perec recently organized a virtual foot and ankle global town hall meeting that drew 2,500 plus attendees. Quite extraordinary. I'm also proud to say that our leadership does not remain within the Duke confines. Many of our trainees assume leadership positions after graduating from Duke and make an impact at their respective institutions. I'm also highlighting the Foot and Ankle Symposium at the recent Piedmont meeting. It is wonderful to see the collaborative effort between our current Duke faculty and graduates from our program. Great patient care is being delivered and great education continues. And last but not least, special thanks to our outstanding CMAs and PAs, our terrific team of cast technicians, Dana Norvell, our terrific staff assistant, and Marcia Hocutt, our amazing surgery scheduler. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Dr. Chris Shaffrey and have the great pleasure of giving the Spine Division update for the Department of Orthopedic Surgery Grand Rounds. The focus over the last 2 years has been for us to have three major goals. We want to improve care through data acquisition and innovation. We want to go and build a stronger team across the spine division, and we want to increase our national visibility of Duke Spine. Prior to my arrival at Duke, a strategic plan was put together, which I really felt focused on the major areas that we needed to improve. And they included being the regional leader in spine care, to lead in the delivery of the highest quality spine care, to advance our care through research and innovation, and to be the employer of choice for spine providers. Since 2018, we've made some advances in each of these different areas, but it was my belief that we needed to go and to reimagine what the strategic plan should be. And we've been fortunate to have a number of great leaders within the division and to go and to lead the effort to be the provider of choice. Joe Minshew is heading up that effort to provide the consistent high-quality care that we all want. We have Orrin Godfrey leading that effort. To be to advance the future of spine care, Dr. Christine Gertz is leading that effort. And to be the employer of choice, we have Melissa Erickson leading those efforts. So I really do think as we reimagine what we want to be for the next 5 years, these groups of people will help us set the roadmap for that moving forward. Another important aspect of our divisional focus is treating the right patient by the right clinician, giving the appropriate treatment at the right time and at the right cost. And one of the things which has been so important has been for us to go and improve our non-operative care experience. And Dr. Gertz and the team of our physiatrists have really allowed us to make some major progress in these areas. By doing that, that has optimized the patients who are eventually candidates for surgery, and I really think across the division have improved our outcomes. And we have moved to a much more value-based focus. And this is a diagram of how we like to have patients ideally progress through the entire divisional system, starting with non-operative care and eventually to those patients who need either procedures or eventually surgery. We are doing continual quality improvement efforts, and this is driven by robust data acquisition and numerous issues to be able to go and to assess the data that we have collected. With our divisional efforts, these are some of the different drill-down dashboards that are available to each of us to see how we are doing as both a division and as individuals within the division. These dashboards allow us to be able to focus on self-improvement and peer assistance to make actionable changes to improve the care we're providing for patients. This is an example of risk-adjusted, tangible steps that we've been taking to go and reduce, for example, in this case, patient mortality for the 6 months after surgery. And with these steps, we have substantially reduced our number of deaths that have been observed, our mortality index, readmissions with serious complications, and other problems throughout the division. And our trends continue to improve. One of our focuses has been on the American Spine Registry to allow us to obtain surgical data and outcomes data on all patients that are operated on within the Duke system. And this allows us to integrate data and to analyze data across a variety of different programs throughout the United States. And fortunately, several of the Duke Divisional Spine faculty are leaders within this effort. This also allows us to be able to go and to look at data, and this is, for example, AJRR for the Joint Replacement Registry, allows us to be able to compare ourselves to peer organizations to see how we are doing in relationship with our peers. These dashboards also allow us to go and compare our individual effort compared with other individuals and groups throughout the United States. One of the advantages of our engagement in this has been able to go and to have Duke as a leader for these efforts. And this just shows a number of different recent publications that have come up with Duke authors as being either the lead author or the senior author and corresponding author on a variety of different recent publications looking at quality and outcomes. This again shows our recent Duke engagement with IRB improved studies and projects, and shows that we are having a leadership position for a variety of multi-institutional studies and projects. This slide demonstrates the academic productivity of the spine division in aggregate, and you can see that we have approximately 100 publications where we are leaders in this area field over the last 6 months alone, and I feel that this is going to continue to expand. As we accomplish the goal of having patient-reported outcomes on every patient entering the Duke spine system, we'll be able to further lead efforts in quality and outcomes moving forward. Unlike other aspects of clinical care, the COVID epidemic has allowed our virtual spine effort, now our value-based spine effort, to assist Duke University in positioning itself as a leader in virtual-based healthcare. This summary slide shows the direction that we are moving for an integrated model to provide spine care throughout the region and to be able to further increase the visibility of Duke Spine and demonstrate our value-based focus. So in summary, the spine division is committed to contributing to the goal of having Duke orthopedic and neurosurgery departments be nationally top ranked. We want to improve care through data, research, and innovation. We want to build a stronger team across all aspects of the division, and we want to increase the national visibility of Duke Spine by providing the best patient care, providing innovative solutions through our presentations and publications, and through our spine fellowship and resident education efforts. Thank you.